Today I'm going to talk about how I get around 10 newsletter subscribers every day. Now the thing is that you usually start with 0, and for most people, nobody knows about you. You're not on X or LinkedIn, or maybe you have a very low follower count, not even building a newsletter, but actually growing a community. Now, I knew that I'm starting from 0, but I have a lot of knowledge. So what I've done is I said, all right, I am looking for open source founder. Now, what are those open source founders into? Is there a way that I can convince them to register to my newsletter by give them a really fast value? So today I want to take you into the 6 things I have done in order to get those subscribers every week. So what I'm going to talk about mostly is lead magnets. Lead magnets are ways for people to register to your newsletter, subscribe to your channel, anything, by giving them something. Usually it's something with a very fast value. My first lead magnet was a website I created that you can actually take your GitHub repository, add it to the website. Visitors of the website will be able to see your library or repository, whatever it is. And actually, I created this nice panel on the website that you can kind of like create some kind of a listicle with a lot of libraries inside. So influencers can come along and promote you on platform like X, LinkedIn, and so on. It was totally free. So link in the description. The thing is that, like I said before, I had no audience. So I had a really special trick here. What I've done, I go to GitHub. So GitHub has an API, GraphQL or normal API. I use the GitHub GraphQL, and it's actually a crazy kind of like a CRM with everything you want, and you just can query GitHub. So for example, give me all the repository that have 200 stars, that have 300 stars, and then give me all the users that contributed to that repository, and then give me the first user that contributed to that repository. So by that, I was kind of looking for founders that have less than 1,000 stars, but more than like 50. So they're like serious about what they do. And then I would just use GitHub GraphQL to get their email. Now what I would do is something really simple. I would send all of them an email that's saying, hey, I have created this website. You can head your GitHub repository. This is totally free. Influencers can find you. And I also said, I'm not here to sell you anything. It's literally free value. The conversion rate for those subscribers was like crazy. It's like almost every email converted to a newsletter subscriber. So that was like how I just like kickstarted this entire thing. And the thing is, yes, mostly my newsletter was people registered from that when I started, but that's what kind of led into this organic growth later. The second thing I've done is I know a lot of founders want to get into this kind of GitHub trending feed. By getting into the trending feed, they get a lot more stars, forks, clients. Anything is possible. So much user-generated content. So the thing is that when you're on this trending feed, GitHub doesn't send you any notification about it. And it's actually really important that you know that you are on the trending feed. So what I've done, I've just created a tool that you can register, put your GitHub repository. It will check the GitHub trending feed every hour. And if you're there, it will just send you an email. Hi, you're trending on GitHub. Now look at the brilliance of this thing. On the one hand, super free value. I got so many Twitter notifications over time that people tagged me like, thank you, Nevo David, for letting me know that I'm trending on GitHub. And then it helped them to kind of even push more the trending because they could talk about it over social media. And on the other hand, of course, I again lead gen open source founders. So again, I had open source founders register to my newsletter. So that works tremendously. And I still get more and more people registering to this tool until today. Number 3 was my CTA on the website. So basically, if you go to my website, gitroom.com, you would see that I have some line written below the input of entering your email. It says, enter your email and a video of how to get the first 1,000 stars will be sent to you. And actually, I just had like kind of this podcast with Jonathan from crowd.dev. And we talked about GitHub stars and how to get the first GitHub stars, how to go on GitHub and so on. And I decided, okay, I don't have a lot of content yet. I didn't even have this YouTube channel. Let's just tell people they will get a video. And I just sent them this video. And that was kind of like fast value. You register and I give you something. And actually, I think the video is really good. Number 5 is using social media So you would see, especially on X, that I have Autobot, that when I have more than 10 likes for my post, it's actually promoting the newsletter. And then you can do even double thing when you promote your newsletter and you put your lead magnet, like register to the newsletter, get the video of how to get your first 1,000 stars. And again, this is like attached to every post that get into some threshold. I'm using Hype Fury for that. I've put link in the description. Feel free to go and check it out. Number 6, and that's the last one. I kind of knew at some place, even from the start, that the best thing for a newsletter is to actually have a product, because every person that register to your product actually register to your newsletter automatically. So what I've done, I created the Gitroom platform where you can schedule tweets and post, and actually also in publishing platforms like Dev.to, Medio, and so on. I think it's super unique. It lets you to track your GitHub repository, stars, forks, clones, anything possible. And I have a free tier, so it's really easy to go and register. And that also brought a lot of people, because product give you the most amount of registration usually. Now the problem with a lot of companies that they are like only self-hosted, so they don't have a product. Just wait a little bit and I will explain in the next section what you can do about it. Now, if you like this content so far, I would really appreciate if you can click on this subscribe button. It's really unique content. There's not a lot of like that over the internet. The thing is that it's also really hard to promote this content because nobody is talking about that. So the video is usually being suggested to some weird videos. If you can really click the subscribe button, it will help me a lot. Now let's talk what happens if you're like totally self-hosted. Let's say you are like Next.js or Tailwind UI. So you basically don't have any cloud. So how can you convert users to your newsletter? So you can tell people, listen, I've created a free course about using my product. Register to the course. That's usually the simplest lead magnet. It's being used a lot in general B2B companies, you know, something like an ebook, which is a little weird today, but that works. Let's say you are a cloud native company. So maybe you can create a Terraform generator with ChatGPT. And now you know that everybody that is interested in a Terraform generator, because they need to generate Terraforms, they are also very connected to what you do in the company. So that's direct connection. If you have a UI library, for example, which is totally self-hosted, you can create tools like HTML to React converter, or maybe Figma to HTML or React. If you have a class validation library, like let's say Class Validator or Zod, you can create something like JSON to TypeScript converter. You know, like taking like a JSON object and then converting it to a TypeScript. I use a lot of those online. I think they are super useful. Great way to lead gen people. And of course, every time you do something like that, you need to ask for the person email. Some people do it at the start in order to use the tool. It has a bigger churn. Other people, they just ask people after they generate or after they generate 2 or 3 times. I prefer the first one because maybe I will have less people using the tool, but I will have more conversion into emails. Now, the big question I think many people asking themselves, why do I need a newsletter? Like, it's email. It's like 100 years ago. Why do I even need a newsletter? So actually, newsletters are the easiest way to create really close connections with your subscriber. Because when you do YouTube or Twitter, not everybody see your stuff all the time. But with newsletter, as long as it's not going to spam, as long as you bring very valuable content, people will read your newsletter and start to get some connection with you. Now, it's proven everywhere that when people trying to sell stuff, their current existing audience for the newsletter is usually the best one than any other channel. Also, newsletter is the only channel that is actually yours. It doesn't matter if I close the company, you still have the email of those people, so it's like safe. You can always contact them, compared to social media where they harden their algorithms and then it's like really, really hard. Like I've seen people on Twitter, 100,000 followers getting tons of engagement. Today, they get the same engagement like me because they don't post 1 or 2 times. So really, newsletters are the best. And usually I tend to get newsletter from any possible way I can. You know, I convert them for my X and I convert them from my YouTube and I convert them from LinkedIn because I know that this is mine and it's mine forever. And if you like this video so far, please go ahead and watch my previous video about open source pricing.